Welcome to the Software Process and Measurement Cast number 725. I'm Tom Kegley, your host today. One of the most common problems teams face is starting more work than they complete. Neglected WIP is the gap between all the work you say you're doing and the stuff you are really doing. The natural vagaries of office life can cause an item to get stuck due to someone being out sick or because your coworker hit the lottery. Yeah, stuff happens. A little might be okay, but more is bad. When neglected WIP passes that hurdle, real flow time will increase and velocity will slow. The combination of getting less work done and taking longer at it is a prescription for your stakeholders to start looking for pitchforks and torches. We also have a visit from Jeremy Berriault, who brings his QA corner to the podcast. In this installment, we discuss the QA lead's role in agile teams. So just what does a QA lead do in an agile team? Jeremy has some ideas. And we read Saturday news. I'm going to combine the conversation of chapters 12 and 13 of Coaching Agile Teams this week because there's a common core to these two chapters. Chapter 12, When Will I Get There? Discusses when you'll know that you've become an Agile coach. Chapter 13, It's Your Journey, discusses the journey several coaches have taken to get there. Chapter 12 plots the journey, and Chapter 13 provides several travelogues. Remember to buy a copy of Coaching Agile Teams by Liz Atkins, link in the show notes, and read along. Quick logistics notes. Next week we'll wrap up Coaching Agile Teams and then on to Extraordinary Badass Agile Coaching. Links to both in the show notes. Remember, buy a copy, support the authors. Neglected WIP and a simple usage example or two. Both by Thomas M. Cagley Jr., Megan E. Cagley. One of the most common problems teams face is starting more work than they complete. The reasons this occurs are both myriad and legendary. The impacts of teams starting more work than they complete range from quality problems to increased support costs. Maybe the most critical outcome is lost trust. All these problems stem from letting work sit around once started while you do something else. No one can work on two items at the same time. You have to put one down, change your mental model, and then work on something else. Neglected WIP is the gap between all the work you say you're working on and the stuff that you're actually doing. While neglected WIP is a problem, all teams have a few items on hold. TaskTop, the company Mick Kirsten, author of Project to Product, founded, suggests that up to 25% neglected WIP might be acceptable. The natural vagaries of often life can cause an item to get stuck due to someone being out sick or because your coworker hit the lottery. Stuff happens. When neglected WIP passes that hurdle, real flow time will increase and velocity will slow. The combination of getting less work done and taking longer at it is a prescription for your stakeholders to start looking for torches and pitchforks. Knowing how much WIP is right is a challenging discussion. Every role is biased. For example, product owners want more features done, architects want to retire more tech debt, and developers want to stay busy but go home on time. The tension is why work entry is such a difficult problem to solve. One approach to creating an overall WIP limit is to use Little's Law to calculate the estimated amount of WIP a team should have based on their capabilities, what they actually do. Given that equation is algebra, if you know any two of the three variables, you can solve for the third. In this case, if we want to know WIP, Little's Law can be expressed as average work in process equals the average cycle time times the average throughput. In essence, you have to have so much WIP sitting around per day so that you can actually complete it. A real life example. a team of 3 stalwart process improvement coaches, provides a broad portfolio of services including Jira implementation and administration, team and executive level coaching, and more. Over the past 5 months, their flow metrics for stories, debt items, and defects show average cycle time 4 days per item, average throughput 1 item per day. The predicted WIP via that Little's Law equation is 4 items. The data shows that the actual average WIP is 4. However, there have been several times when WIP skyrocketed to 8 or 10 for a brief period of time. Knowing the level where excess WIP can cause problems provides the team with a tool to facilitate a discussion about why WIP spikes are occurring. One quick item. Little's Law assumes that the system is under control, or at least close enough. If the process is effectively a random walk, determining the level of neglected WIP is the least of your problems. An example of using neglected WIP to support establishing an overall work entry limit for the team. Context. An 11-person team deals with production defects, administrative support, upgrading, and delivering enhancements to a classic ERP package. Everyone on the team runs around like their hair is on fire. The scuttlebutt in the organization is that the team never delivers on promises. No one is happy, but the manager and the new team leader privately state this is our corporate culture and it's not going to change. The new team leader has been told to stop the 20% or so turnover rate the team has had over the last 2 years. Their flow metrics. Average cycle time was 32 days, and that includes defects. Average throughput, 4 items per day, and 3 out of the 4 of those things are admin tasks. Their predicted WIP is about 128 items. Their average WIP for the past 2 months is about 150 items per day. The average WIP includes several items that are active and have been for more than 2 years. When asked about those items, the team has to look them up in the system before remembering what they are. Active? One telling comment when discussing the items currently in WIP was that at least 2 of the ancient items, those things over 2 years old, actually cause several defects that occur on a daily and weekly basis. No one has time to fix the root cause, but they do have time to fix the defects that regularly pop up because they don't have that time. Clearly, saying yes and starting every piece of work presented to the team serves no one. A facilitated discussion with key stakeholders and management led to the team taking a 2-week hiatus from new work. Well, almost all new work. They still had to deal with priority 1 issues, impact to human life or systems down. The remainder of the time focused on paying back some of the more crucial technical debt items that they had not had time for. At the end of the time frame, everyone agreed to having only 40 items on their board at a time. While not nearly perfect, not so magically, almost a third of their defects that they'd saw on a daily basis disappeared. The team was so happy with the impact on their lives, they pitched doing a 2-week debt cleanup every quarter. A year later, they have ratcheted down the overall WIP limit to something approximating the level Little's Law would predict. The TL's goal of reducing turnover has also come to pass. Maybe saying yes to everything wasn't the culture when people stopped doing it. Thoughts, comments, all welcome. Please feel free to reach out to us at spamcastinfo@gmail.com. We look forward to the conversation, and we'll continue to explore neglected WIP in the next installment. Jeremy Berriault, welcome to the Software Process and Measurement Cast.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
Jeremy, I have this scenario, and it's just driving me crazy. A QA lead on an agile team with a team lead, a scrum master, and a product owner. What? Help me.
Well, I think if you go back to the last discussion we had, we talked about hockey team, like the hockey team on the ice. And you have the different roles. You have wingers, center, defenseman. If you look at it if you look at it in that fashion, the QA lead on the team would be no different than, say, like an assistant captain, someone like a player on the team, player on the ice, that helps everyone else, like either forward and defenseman, get better, and kind of helps keep things not on track, but helps keep things on pace. Most humans, and I think there's psychology studies about this as well. I was a psych major, so I'm pretty sure I read one or two, where like there still has to be someone that comes out as a leader to kind of help ensure the direction is there. So a QA lead would be no different. Like they're still doing the work. There's no direct reports. There's no dotted line, single line, solid line, whatever they want to use or call it within an org chart. But they're there to just kind of help I think they're there just to help keep the focus.
The trouble I'm having is I've got a team that's 7 to 9 people. I've got 4 people in leadership roles, potentially, right? Maybe I have a QA lead, I have a team lead, I have a scrum master, I have a product owner. Okay, the 2 people that are left doing the work, who do they listen to?
Okay, well, it's not just 2 people doing the work. Like everyone else is doing the work.
Tell me that the lead isn't, all those leads aren't going off and doing lead meetings and other things like that. They all might be doing stuff. And I'm not gonna gainsay you on that. But they're not doing it full time. They've got other things, management things to do. I'm baiting you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and it's completely fine because that's why I like coming on here. No, and if you have that setup, then you're right. The setup you just brought up is more of a matrix environment. It's not an agile team environment. But you still need...
Matrix isn't agile?
No. What? I know, crazy concept.
They're not, they can, the listeners can't see me falling down laughing on the floor and you just biting your tongue and your forefinger as you're giggling at that last statement.
Yeah.
Did I just break that barrier between the listeners and us just a little bit?
Well, they do it in movies. We can do it on a podcast.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but if you look at it from in that matrix environment, like the old way of doing things are very traditional. Well, actually, matrix is not that old compared to everything else. But yeah, you're still going to have, you consider the lead or manager or coordinator, name the different job title that shows that you're kind of above, like you're the head honcho. Yeah, you're going to have those leadership type meetings or status meetings and all that fun business. But when you look at it, the agile team itself, the way I see leads is more, they're the ones that they don't have to do anything. They do maybe a little bit of reporting where they help kind of manage things around, but they're the 1, 2, 3. Like, so if we go development, a QA, and a product manager or BA, those are the 3 people I could go to without creating a big team meeting to understand what's going on. They're the ones that have the idea of how things are going, where things are working, and take that role and use it and kind of give them that experience. Because if they want to be, if their career path, they want to be that manager, they want to be that executive, they're going to have to learn how to be a leader. And in this form, in an agile team, it now gives them the opportunity to be a leader without authority. And that's how it was a term that was brought to me years ago by one of my mentors. And I follow it. I still use it today, even in any sort of leadership position that I've had, where you treat everyone as if like they don't report to you, but you still have to ask and you kind of work with them to get the work done. And this is a lead within an agile team, gives them that opportunity to learn that skill and to get better at it, so that if they do want to become the next VP of an organization, they can take that skill set with them and they become a very strong leader down the road.
That statement, leadership without authority, makes me a tad crazy, right? Because how does that really work in real life? You have no authority, but you're on the hook. I'm Jeremy, I need this release by June 32nd. It's a new month. It's a new date. It's made up, fictional kind of thing. It's impossible to do. Jeremy, I'm holding you accountable for doing that. You go make that happen. You're a leader without authority. Go make that happen. It's your job. I'm going to fire your ass if you don't get it done. I'm obviously being extremely hyperbolic on that, right?
Yep.
How does that work? That turns you into, at best, it turns you into a command and control kind of person. It turns you into an authority figure. You're going to have to go out and browbeat people into, or beat them into submission to get that done, because you have no choice.
It's about how you approach them and how you deal with other across the team. And I've had this happen. I've had VPs come up to me saying, yeah, you need to get this done by this date. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I needed the support of different groups, not only within the departments I was working in, but departments outside that definitely I had no control over whatsoever. And it's just a matter of like how you work with others, how you treat others. The golden rule, do unto others as you want others to do unto yourself type of deal. That force saying it's like, hey, I need you to get this done. I've gone into situations where it's like, hey, I need some help. I need this. What can be done with this? Is there any way we can get this done faster? It's the messaging and the language that you use when you're dealing with others. It's, yes, you are commanding them. You're trying to tell them what to do, but you're doing it in a fashion where it's not kind of threatening. It's not that, as you say, browbeating. It's seeing what can get done and working with others to get it. It is definitely, like, it is a skill set. It is something that is not taught anywhere. Like, it's almost like, for me, it took me close to 15 years to really get good at it, to the point where I'm comfortable. Like, I can work with any team. They don't have to report to me. I can work through it. Like one of the teams I'm working with now, I've had to not only work within the team to help them get better, but also had to organize 5 different groups for another delivery and get them prepared for that delivery. And initially, when I started that, they all came out and said, nope, we have our roadmap. We're not going to get it done. Instead of going to executives and saying, kind of get them to browbeat it in, I just worked with them a little bit more and understood. And then as we started talking through it, they agreed. Like, we have the delivery set later on this year, and there's really no major issues blocking us from getting it done. So it was just a matter of working with them. It's not a matter of browbeating.
Yeah, I'm concerned when I hear that term. How do you make me comfortable with that?
How to make you comfortable? Forget the term. don't think of it as a term. Just think it's how you want to work with others. For me personally, I don't like going in and telling people what to do, like kind of like being that command and control type view. Even with my kids, I don't particularly like. I've done it a couple times because sometimes you have to, but most of the time I don't like doing it. I like working with them, talking with them to see their side and see what we can do together to get things done. It's just being like, to me, it's just being a good person. Just like, I want to get my work done. They want to get their work done. It's not the end of the world if something doesn't go right. All right, what can we do?
So why can't it be done without people outside of the team? Why can't that be part and parcel of how we build teams so that you don't need somebody to come from the outside, and whether we don't tell them what to do, we manipulate them to get something done? Why does it have to be that way versus, hey, here's the vision, here are the features, product owner, you're prioritize the work so that we get the right stuff at the right time? Why can't that be the right conversation that we have?
Well, it is the right conversation. I think it's just more how it's approached. Right? It's not like as if coming in saying, this is what we want. You got until June 32nd to get it done. And that's it. If you have to work 20 hours a day, you work 20 hours a day. Like when you talk about vision and mission, product vision and product mission, like that type of work, those type of statements and those really should be like almost team driven. Like everyone has their own part in it. Like they agree with the vision, they agree with like how the product's going to view. Getting that involvement, when you get that involvement, then really to meet the demands to like the delivery and the features and all that should be easy, because now the team is excited. The team should be excited about, okay, we're going to deliver this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to see the value and go. We're going to get it done. Like for me with teams, I've gone into teams where it was a very command and control, very like do as I say, no questions asked. And they're like they had some productivity, but it wasn't the best. I would in there kind of change. I didn't really change the vision that much, but I changed how I approached and how we discussed the vision. And once we changed that, then the team started producing even more. Within months, they were like their productivity was shooting through the roof, to the point where the CEO of the company was blown away with how well the teams have done. And like they came out and said, "Oh, Jeremy, this is great, awesome, good job." And it was like, it wasn't me, it was a team. They did it. They did the work. All I did was I just changed the messaging. I got their involvement. They got excited about doing this work. Before they weren't excited because they were just kind of pushed down under the previous leader's thumb.
Jeremy, how would people continue the conversation?
They can continue the conversation. They can reach me on LinkedIn. If you just do a search for Jeremy Berriault in Toronto, you'll be able to find me there. You can go through Twitter at @jberriault and at my website, berriaultassociates.com.
Jeremy, as always, your QA corner, whether we're talking about QA leads, whether we're talking about time, whether we're talking about QA and Scrum Masters, we really cover the gamut in terms of how people behave on teams. Thank you again, Jeremy, for sharing. I think we've done this for 8 years, you said, when we last talked about how long this has been around?
8 or 9 years, because we met in 2013.
Wow. I vaguely remember 2013. That was back before there were dinosaurs, weren't there?
Yeah, and we're all wearing fur pelts.
And there was no COVID.
And there was SARS.
Yeah, well, there you go. That was that's a COVID. Yeah, that's all part of the same stuff.
Yep.
Jeremy, thank you, sir. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to 8 more years of the QA Corner.
Always a pleasure, Tom. Thank you.
Cheers, man. In the Software Process and Measurement Cast number 726, we'll chat with Mr. Alan Kelly. I missed talking to Alan, so we covered a wide range of topics, including OKRs, product backlogs, and remote working. Alan brings incredible insight to the podcast. If process improvement is a never-ending journey, why do so many people ask, are we there yet?